So we're going to start lesson 1 of chapter 4, Colonial New York. So the Native Americans are fully established now. They're living in their longhouses. Things are going fantastic. They've come together. If you remember Hiawatha and the Great Peacemaker, and so the Native Americans especially our Haudenosaunee or our Iroquois peoples are living peacefully within New York. And so as time goes on, so I'm going to bump out to lesson 4 here, or excuse me, chapter 4. So time goes on, and in 1492, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue across the Atlantic Ocean from Europe and landed in the Americas. When news of his voyage reached Europe, other explorers followed. Countries in Europe wanted to control the natural resources of North and South America. So this guy, Christopher Columbus, he sails across the Atlantic Ocean. When he lands, he landed in the Americas. And we'll take a look at some maps and exactly where he landed. And when news of his voyage reached back to Europe, so don't forget where the continent of Europe is. Okay, that's actually where Christopher Columbus left the continent of Europe. So he reaches the Americas, news gets back, and now other explorers are headed across the Atlantic Ocean. Because countries in Europe wanted to do what? Control the natural resources of North and South America. So one question I have that I want you to be thinking about is, what are these natural resources that the Europeans wanted to control in North and South America? So we'll be talking more about that. By the 1600s, so we're traveling pretty fast there from 1492. So by the 1600s, French, the British, and the Dutch had explored the Atlantic coast of what is now the United States. So these are those some of those other European explorers. They were followed by many Europeans who came to start a new life. Read to discover the events that made New York a colony of a country far away. And so if you take a look along the bottom, you can see a timeline of events from 1609. So they're kind of mentioning here by the 1600s. So we've got the Hudson River. Henry Hudson claims land for the Netherlands in 1609. And by the 1740s, so that's actually quite a bit of time. How much time from 1609 to 1740? How many years are we looking at? Well, at the end of this timeline, it says New York City. Craft workers helped make New York City the major port in British New York. You know what that word means, port. And so if you take a look at our map, you see Canada, the United States, and then the state of New York is highlighted here with many key places. All right, so let's jump into lesson 1 and notice the time period that we're looking at. So from 1492 to 1609. And so I'm looking at this picture in the top left with these, looks like 3 ships. Looks like this might be a king and a queen, maybe. Maybe they're waving goodbye to these explorers heading across the ocean. So our focus activity, we want to read to learn, why did European explorers come to New York? So we already have kind of a first glimpse at why. They came to control natural resources. But now we're specifically going to zoom in on New York. What's going on in New York that the European explorers, why do they come to New York? So you have the read aloud section. It's going to lead into what's called the big picture, and then it's going to zoom in to first contact in New York, Verrazano reaches New York. And so the way that this is organized is that they give you a little, it's almost that word we've talked about before, an excerpt. This is a little excerpt of a book or a journal or something that's been written. And so we're going to read aloud. This big picture is going to just give you some general information to set you up on the details of the pages that follow. Okay, so here we go. In 1492, an Italian ship captain set off on a voyage across an unknown ocean. I, Columbus, he wrote, decided to write down everything I might do, see, and experience on this voyage from day to day and very carefully. His journey would change the lives of people all over the world. This is true. That when Christopher Columbus set sail in 1492, he did keep a daily journal. We actually have those journals. It's how we've come to know so much about this part in history. So that might be something to look into. How can we actually see and read more of Columbus's journals? The big picture. This is that general kind of overview of what we're about to read more about here. So Christopher Columbus believed that he could find Asia by sailing west from Europe across the Atlantic Ocean. A lot of geography here. We're going to need to take a look at a map to get this picture in our head. So Columbus wants to find this country, or excuse me, this continent. Sorry about that. By sailing in this direction, by leaving Europe, traveling across the Atlantic Ocean. And Columbus believed he would discover a route to trade for silks, spices, and gold in Asia. And that trade could make him a rich man. So why is he trying to find Asia? He's got a purpose. And here it is. To trade these items to become very wealthy. Awesome.